Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to have you here. This week we're dealing with an exciting topic. It has to do with what did I do to become an analyst? What did I do to become an analyst? I'll be sharing throughout the videos what do I think one needs to become an analyst. If you want that, please stay tuned for the rest of the video. My name is Lisema Matsietsi, and in this week we're talking about what did I do to end up becoming an analyst. The question is coming from Jabulile and she's saying, what did you study to become an analyst? Thank you, Jabulile for wonderful comment. I mean, it's the simplest one and it's the one that makes sense. You start with to say, how do you start? I got this question about 6 days ago. And then just the other day, I saw this come through the mail. I mean, Orato got this nice family game for us to play in the house. And I thought, what a wonderful way to explain what you need to become an analyst. So let me explain the game first. Game is called Headbands. Headbands. I'm gonna show everything else that's inside the box. You have the headbands, you have the timer, which is quite important. I'm gonna be dwelling on this. And then you have the money. Ching ching! The more the money, the more you win the game. Game rules first. The idea of the game is you take the headband, you resize it like a cap. Once you resize it, you put it in your head. Once you put it in your head, you have the timer. I think this is 20 seconds. I think 20 seconds probably. The sense of time go down and then it's 20 seconds, not hour, 20 seconds. And then with that, what you do is you have this flash cuts. You have this flash cuts. So what you do with the flash cuts is they have different pictures on them. You put the deck on the floor, you take the deck, you don't look at it. So you take the deck, without looking, you put it on your headband. Woo! Where is it? Is it here? Yeah. You put it right there. Your opponents can see what's in here, but you have to guess. So the rules of the game says you ask things like, do I have 4 legs? If you're thinking about an animal. Do I have 4 legs? Do I have wings? Do I live in an ocean? Am I a bug? Do I have fur? You know those kind of questions while you're guessing what's in here, and the guys around you will say yes, no, and it's a fun game for the kids. And then before you know it, you are able to guess this. So for the game, they have 3 guides that they have. One is for when you are a food type, one is for when you're an animal, and another one is when you're an object. So when they say you are an animal, you go through what I just said, and then you'll guess, oh, maybe I'm a horse. Let me see, did I get a horse? Oh, I got a car. If you guess it right, you go inside the ching ching, you get the money, and then you keep the money, you keep the token to yourself. Then at the end of the game, the one with the most tokens wins the game. How does this relate to analysis? Exactly the same as what it relates to analysis. So when you start, you can become a food analyst, or they call it a sales analyst, or you can become an object analyst, or they call it the software analyst, or you can become an animal analyst, or you can become financial analyst, or whatever, business analyst, you name it. So you have different flashes or cards and questions that you can ask depending on what domain you are in. If you're an object analyst, you ask object related questions. Where do you get these questions? These questions you can get from school via education, or you can get them from your mentors or your know-how from the fellow analysts that have been grooming you up. So you get the question. So the questions are quite important because the questions that you ask allows you to guess what the problem for the month is. So I'm gonna make an example. The last video I spoke about depreciation. Simple thing. Depreciation, what happened? I think this will be the finance people. Finance people sit there and they're like, we are big on depreciation. Big Shot asked, what's wrong with depreciation? December, can you have a look at depreciation? Once I know what depreciation is, I'm a finance person, I know the questions to ask about depreciation. So I can ask, did we procure new assets? No. Yes. Did we terminate some assets? Yes. No. Do we have assets that have got shortened lifespan? Yes. No. Do we have software that we wrote off? Yes. No. Those are the questions that I'm asking. And then once I get that right, I put it on my head, then I walk into a boardroom and I say, I figured it out. The problem is that, what's this, kaula? Oh, sloth. The problem is a sloth. And then when it's bonus time, catching, because I'm the guy who gets the most, points. I'm useful and I get the money. So this is the game. This is the analyst. Well, it's not the analyst game, but I'm just making it an analyst game. Is education important to become an analyst? It depends. If you have a mentor who's willing to mentor you with the questions, you might find out that education becomes a long route to it. In my case, I didn't have a mentor, so education quite helped me to get to here. What type of education is important? Quite tricky. Nowadays we have different offerings by universities compared to when I started. When I started, I enrolled for investment management because I thought I was going to be a chartered financial analyst, the guy in JSE, me. But no, along the way, they told me they meshed financial management and investment management together, and they call it, a new course, they call it finance. And it was the first time that they launched it. So I did become finance. It took me 5 years to finish become finance because I just kept on failing 1/3 year, second semester module, accounting 3, consolidated financial statements. Who feels that? It took me 5 years to do it. So why I'm saying 5 years, I'm not one of the smartest guys in terms of finishing up early. I can be smart somewhere else, but in terms of finishing up early, I didn't get accounting at all. I was like, no, I'm not gonna be an accountant. I know now. Then I started working. Once I entered into I was an accountant for my brother's company, GNAP. And from there, then I went into the bank and I started working. After being accountant for 2 years, once I started working, I realized, MIS is quite interesting. These guys create finances from Excel and it makes sense. So I spoke to this guy who was responsible for MIS. He said, you know what, I'll show you the ropes. So remember I said, if there's a guy who's willing to show you, good. So he showed me, but he said, I'm still busy with my schooling. So they could trust him with the numbers, but for me to be trusted with numbers, I had to go back and then create another degree. So I didn't want to go straight full on BSc, so I did become IT management. And then throughout it, I fell in love with the coding. So I did my honors in informatics, which is now in the BSc, not in the BCom side. So I did my honors in informatics. And then from there, then I decided, you know what, I've been dealing so much in finance and, going up into the organization. I mean, they sent me to a business school to do middle management courses. And later on, I did my master's in finance, but specifically development finance, which was because, I fell in love when we did one of our road trips. If you're following Olarado's channel, Mommy and Baby Are Approved, you will see we did a few road trips in Africa. Well, we are in Africa, but in Southern Africa, let me just say that. Through our road trips in Southern Africa, I was inquisitive about how can we have all that we could ever think about. Fast internet, all of that. We have it where we are. But other people in the same country don't have that. And I was so intrigued not to do my master's in informatics. Well, they didn't have space. And not to do my master's in information systems because they have space in University of Cape Town. But to do my master's in development finance. And I brought in the IT side into finance, which I got my credentials where I could now become a chartered development finance analyst. CDFA. So instead of CFA, I'm CDFA because I love developmental stuff. So this channel is one of the reasons of spreading out the West. What do you know? What do you know? Development finance? Oh, definitely. So all of that was helping me to get the questions that I could ask. In this channel, we are dealing with how to being an analyst. So we will be talking about the questions about being an analyst. As I started in the beginning, I'm not going to be talking about how to start a business, how to do development finance, how to do it's different flesh cuts. So here's my question. My answer to Jabulile Kwanatsi is, what do you study to be an analyst? I'm saying find the field first that you want to be an analyst in. First thing that you could do for me before you start enrolling, and university fees are quite heavy. Before you go right into university, try to volunteer with anybody else and then see if you have passion for it. Once you realize you have passion for it, then do it. I know a lot of people like to say try to volunteer and don't do it. I'm one of those that did it. I will tell you, immediately when I did my 3rd year, we had an assignment to go into financial planning. We could go and sit with a financial planner, and this other guy, after we did our assignment, we asked him to say, can we come see you for a month? He's like, no, come over. So we came every morning. He paid us nothing. Every morning, woke up, we tried to clean up. From a student who's wearing t-shirts to wearing shirts, stuff like that. I didn't have a pair of shoes. My oldest brother had to buy me a pair of shoes to go to say. And then we volunteered for a whole month. And then just like that, I went into the bank, but in finance, not in financial planning. But I had hands-on experience of how do you talk to a person to get them life cover, to get everything else covered, to their will, all of that. Wealth management, how to do personal wealth management. I got hands-on experience for a whole month. Different people doing wealth management for them. And I was doing all of that for volunteering. So I would ask, if you are interested in financial analysis or being an analyst of any type, software analysis, financial analysis, sales analyst, whatever analyst, business analyst, management analyst, consultant analyst, whatever that's got, analyst, property analyst, political analyst, before you go there, please find somebody else that you can mirror. Maybe for you it might be 6 months, a year, 2 years. The economy is bad. It's always, every year the economy becomes bad. So your effort has to be double. But all of that, remember, you are learning this. Don't look for this as yet. You only get this when you get this right, not when you get this right. So you can pass your school, you can pass your mentorship. It doesn't mean that you're getting this. No, it means you have to get this right first. Then you get this. So when you see people spending this, don't think that this will get you this. No, it is this and the people. This at home doesn't do anything, but you must put it here and be vulnerable in front of the people where they're gonna be laughing at you on your first slide, on your first pack, and your first Power BI dashboard. They're gonna be laughing at you. Say, oh, what a fool. But once you get this right, you are closer to this. That's how it is. Thank you for watching this video. Next video, we're going to be talking about what do you do when you have different inputs, you have different exports coming out of the tools that you're using. One department is using one tool, SAP or Oracle. Another department is using another tool, SAS, whatever it is. You are reporting on the same thing, but it keeps on clashing. And how do you deal with that? And that will be on the next video. Thanks for watching this one. Until next time, just ciao.